The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Monday night. No credentials required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the broadcast hosts. To my right is a man who did not crawl out of his man cave until about Sunday morning after the NFL draft was over. We got Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
Doing all right. I was a little hungry and thirsty by the time, but you know, when you're in draft mode, it's head down. I like to watch it in the dark, you know, with no one else around me.
That sounds really creepy.
like the Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca retreats, you know.
Oh, so you were on a darkness retreat.
Darkness retreat for the draft. I will say the multi-round format, I like it, but there's an old school part of me that just misses like the marathon that was those old school draft Saturdays from like 10 a.m. to 7:30, and you're just watching it all in one shot.
Yeah, that was those were the days.
Yeah,
those were the days. But before we continue, we just want to remind you about our social media channels on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and the scarcely used TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ. On YouTube, it's YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. If you're watching either live or on the replay, what you want to do is smash that like button and smash responsibly. You can also find us on the audio side. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast. Our primary hub is now Megaphone. You can find us down below right here on the podcast side. Rate and review. We'll even read your review on the air, especially if it's very, very mean-spirited and gross. And you can also engage with the show live. This is a listener-driven. This is a audience engagement show. We want to hear we want to see your comments. And Dustin, you know I gotta play that sound.
Oh, of course.
We got some comments already from our buddy Jeff S, who says hello, and Snowman says it's time for no credentials required. Indeed, it is. All right, Dustin, we're going to start off this week's program with a pair of Game 7s that occurred last night. We got a Game 7 tonight, Devils and Rangers. I am nervous as heck. But last night, we had not one, two upsets in Game 7 that happened. And we got to talk about these two upsets. We got to talk about the Boston Bruins, who had a historically great season.
Oh my goodness. They broke all sorts of records, didn't they? It was
they broke the record for, sorry to interrupt, record for most points in a season. They also broke the record for most wins in a season. However, when it came down to the playoffs, I don't think any of us saw this coming.
No. I was shocked. You know, I was shocked, and you texted me last night, and you said the Bruins are out, and I will be totally honest, I was not watching. I was in the middle of cooking or doing something, and I said, wow, I'm shocked. And then I followed it up with, that is why the Stanley Cup playoffs are the best in sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to doff my cap to you again, sir. It was a mini Rye-Stradamus moment when you mentioned the NHL Invader Cup bracket that we're doing. I said I had picked the Bruins, and you said you know, they could get upset in the first round. And you said, remember when the Lightning got bounced, you know, and was it the Blue Jackets that beat them that year?
Yep, they Blue Jackets swept them in 4 games.
Yeah. Now you said it could happen, and here we are. Now it took the Panthers 7 games to do it, but they got it done. So, and I remember watching the first game. At the bowling banquet that we were having on the last night of bowling, and the Bruins looked unbeatable. You know, they looked great to start out that game. Now, I didn't see all of it, but from what I saw, I was like, oh, the Bruins, they're just going to take that momentum and go right into the playoffs, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's the playoffs are always going to be a very it's going to be maddening because it's yeah, I expect this season was wild in the first place. If you followed the season from pillar to post, regular season, it was chaotic. It was really chaotic, especially the last couple of weeks coming into the playoffs. We didn't have certain conference. I mean, the Western Conference was wide open.
Yeah.
The Eastern Conference was pretty steady up until
it was set,
through the wild card. The wild card, we didn't really know who's going to be the teams until the last couple of days of the season. I think the Islanders, who were bounced in 6 games by the Carolina Hurricanes, they were the last one to get in. They had the wait till game 82 to figure out to get in. And in the Western Conference, it was waiting for who was going to win who was going to win their divisions. So it was between Vegas and Edmonton, a little bit Seattle here and there. They were in the contention for the Pacific Division. The same thing for the Central. There were 2 teams in contention for the Central all season. And it came down to the last game, and Colorado happened to win the Central Division. We'll get to them in just a moment. But the playoffs are always going to be a different animal with the Stanley Cup playoffs, you don't know who's going to be coming out. You know who's going to be the team that wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had a President's Cup. We haven't had a President's Trophy winner win the Stanley Cup since 2013. The Blackhawks were the last to do it. So for Boston to get bounced, I'm not shocked. I mean, it's in terms of playoff history, yes, it's a pretty monumental upset. Mm-hmm. And I actually put out a poll this afternoon.
I voted.
And I gave 4 choices because Twitter only allows 4 choices, but these are the ones that came to mind. I said, what's the greatest Stanley Cup playoffs upset of all time? And I had last night between Florida and Boston, Florida over Boston, 1994, San Jose over Detroit, 2006, Edmonton over Detroit, or 1998, Ottawa over New Jersey. With 0%, it was Ottawa over New Jersey. I don't think anybody remembers going that far back about how New Jersey my New Jersey Devils were the first 1 seed to be bounced by an 8 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then it happened again the next year in 1999. So awesome there. In third place was 1994, the San Jose Sharks, who were an expansion team a few years before, upset the Detroit Red Wings in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the Western Conference. In second place was your Edmonton Oilers in 2006, beating Detroit in the first round of the playoffs. Another 8-1.
8-1, yeah.
And I would say running away with it was Florida over Boston. So
yeah,
this is a huge upset because I think it was a 43-point differential between both those teams during the season.
Yeah, and it was, and I will be candid, that is the choice that I voted for. I remember now I will be honest, in 94 I wasn't really following hockey to the degree. So I didn't have much input on the Sharks versus the Red Wings, even though I know those mid to late 90s to early 2000s Red Wings teams were beasts.
Yes.
They were a perennial powerhouse all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But The reason I did not pick Edmonton and Detroit, because I thought about it for a while. I thought about it. I gave it some consideration, but I would argue that in 2006, that Edmonton team, and I could be misremembering because I'm going back a little ways here, but that team will always be stuck in my mind because nobody expected them to do anything. They, but I would argue with some of the acquisitions that they had, that was the year that they traded for Pronger. And that was the year also that they acquired Rolison at the deadline. And for people that didn't watch a lot of Oilers games, they kind of caught fire to get in. They got in that year. They didn't get in. It wasn't fait accompli that they were going to get in. They got in at the 8th seed, but because they had to treat every game like it was a playoff game just to get in, they were ready. They were ready with a playoff mindset. And also Dwayne Rolison cannot be overstated what he did for that team to shore up the goaltending that year. And it kind of all fell apart against the Carolina Hurricanes, much to my chagrin. But
yeah, I wouldn't say it fell apart. They were down 3-1 in that series in the Stanley Cup final that year, and they won they won 2 games to force a game 7.
Yeah, they did battle back, but it was just, I don't know. I think maybe because I started to think that year that they were like a team of destiny. I mean, Fernando Pisani came up huge for them game after game. Sean Horkoff, he was
Ales Hemsky.
Oh, Ales Hemsky, one of my favorite Oilers, number 83. I loved him. They had so many people that came up big, but Pisani was unbelievable in that playoff series with clutch goals. But I just feel like they ran out of gas a little bit, but like I said, I don't have huge memories of that series. It's starting to fade from my memory a little bit now, but I mean, I was still living at my mom's house when I watched that series. But I just say that this upset of the Panthers versus the Bruins is a slightly bigger deal because, like I said, Edmonton was they had some sneaky acquisitions that year, and also they had been playing in a playoff mindset for a little while before everything started. So that's why I gave the slight edge to the Bruins Panthers upset. I mean, this is a big upset.
Yeah, I mentioned to somebody last night. He just went, Ryan, please. I'm like, no, not Ryan, please. This is a huge this is a monumental. It's a pretty monumental upset. I mean, if you're in Florida, I mean, let's put it this way: South Florida for the first 4 months of the year has been a sports. How could I say this? A sports
desert.
Not a desert. It's been a sports oasis.
Oh yeah, fruitful. Yes.
Florida Atlantic going to the Final Four for the first time ever. The Florida Panthers upsetting the President's Cup trophy winning Boston Bruins team.
Mm-hmm.
The Miami Dolphins going to the playoffs, much to my chagrin because I'm a Jets fan. That area. I mean, if you're a sports fan in South Florida, you gotta be grinning ear to ear right now because of the fact that you got more playoff hockey coming up, and you're having fun if you're a South Florida fan. I mean, granted, and the Miami Heat too. They advanced. Yeah, they were the 8th seed beating the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference of the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I was just going to say Jimmy Butler.
The Marlins, not so much.
Yeah, they're lagging behind. But I mean, yeah, you gotta be happy. And obviously, the Bucks are rebuilding now. But they had their moments. In recent history.
Yeah, and now the Bucks are what are they? Should we call them a dumpster fire, or should we say they're rebuilding? Because I got a secret. I wouldn't say a secret, but I gotta say, if I really was hoping the Buccaneers would have drafted Will Levis.
Oh yeah,
on Monday on Thursday night.
Well, there was.
Because the quarterback room of Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield, and Will Levis would have been out of sight.
I'm telling you. I said it last year on our NFL preview show. Baker Mayfield's coming out with that energy, and I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again.
Oh man.
But that was the thing. I was shocked, not to jump a little into a preview of what's to come on the show, but I thought the Colts were going to take Will Levis, but I think that was probably a draft smokescreen because they were coming out and telling everybody they couldn't wait to take Will Levis. So, but he waited a bit to hear his name called. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll get to the NFL draft in a little bit, but before we continuing on with our conversation about the Stanley Cup playoffs, we had another upset last night in the fact that the Seattle Kraken upset the Colorado Avalanche, the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche in 7 games. That was unexpected, Dustin. I mean, this is for another expansion team to go to the playoffs this soon in their history and advance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is a good thing for the league, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and it's impressive too. Everybody remembers what the Golden Knights did in their first year. I mean, that was crazy. But the Kraken, when you saw them play last year, you're like, oh man, this team's going to have some growing pains. They've got a little bit to go, but they put it together much faster than I thought they would. And this one made me smile a little bit. I am a loyal Edmonton fan through and through. They've been my hockey team for a long time, but I do have to say, seeing the Kraken, first of all, I just want to say unleash the Kraken. That makes me happy, but also knowing the kind of sports town on a periphery level, Seattle's a great sports town, and knowing that they have this now, they have a hockey team, and also former Oiler Jordan Eberle plays for the Kraken too. So it made me smile to see Jordan Eberle out there still doing things. And also people, it's just getting crazy. I follow a lot of Seahawks stuff online, and people were tweeting out pictures of Russell Wilson and Sierra at the game in Avs jerseys, and they said the real reason that the Kraken won last night.
Oh no!
it just keeps going.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. But I mean, I do have to admit, this one made me smile a bit because what about you, Ryan? But if I have no dog in the fight, so to speak, I always root for the upset. That's just the way I go.
You gotta root for the upset, especially in this. I mean, this is why I love Stanley Cup playoffs. It is the best time of the year for playoffs. And we got some comments, and we got some comments in the comments section. Of course, Jeff saying, "Is it a sin if I'm getting some Schadenfreude from the Bruins losing like they did?"
No, let's see.
No. And actually, it's funny. I went on Twitter last night. And I had posted a picture of Ben Affleck with the smoking outside, looking very tortured. I was like, I said, live look at Boston right now, and it's just him in misery, smoking a cigarette. Kevin says, "Get ready for Stars Kraken starting tomorrow. We have tickets for Thursday." Nice.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. You're going to be there live.
Man, that's fun. That's fun. I'm a jealous guy. Although I did go in 2003. I did go to see the New Jersey Devils and Ottawa Senators in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference final. No, Game 4 of the Eastern Conference final. That was back at the old barn at the Meadowlands Arena, which was Continental Airlines Arena that time. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
that was fun. Saw the save of the year, Brodeur, on his belly making a save in that game too. It was awesome.
Martin Brodeur.
All right. Kevin also says NHL first round blows the doors off of the NBA first round. No doubt about it. Agree.
For sure.
Agree.
For sure. But I do, I was hoping against hope that the Kings would knock off the Warriors. Nothing against the Warriors, but I just wanted to see that young Kings team surprise everybody. But yeah, and to me, most years I feel like the NHL playoffs outshine the NBA playoffs. I feel like most years that's the case.
Yeah, I just don't disagree there. I do not disagree with you there. All right, so moving on to Jeff, who asked Kevin Wilson. Normally, definitely this year's NBA was better than usual. Heat, Bucks, and Golden State, Sacramento had some great games this year.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, with the exception of Game 7 of Golden State, Sacramento, that was kind of a flop. But you kind of also knew is the Warriors they're a veteran team,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of knew that they were going to come through. It was just interesting to see that the home team wins the first 4 games, then the away team wins the next 3.
Yeah,
Golden State
that
close it out.
doesn't happen. That's very uncommon.
And
But
Steph Curry dropped 50 for his game record. It's a record 50 points in a Game 7. That's crazy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's going to go down as the best shooter. I mean, I don't think we're saying with hyperbole he's going to go down as the best shooter ever. There's nobody. I mean, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, they were known for their 3-point shots. I think Steph is getting to the point where he has surpassed them in some way, and I think his game is a little more offensively well-rounded. I know there's probably going to be Reggie Miller fans that come for me, but I mean, it's crazy.
I don't think they would argue with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, I don't see how you can. And that's the thing, and I'm guilty of it too. We tend to get sick of seeing players that keep, these ultra successful teams that just keep winning and winning. It's human nature. We resent it unless we're a fan of the team. But I think as the years go by, we're going to appreciate the greatness that we've been witnessing the last few years.
Yeah, that's for sure. Kevin says, unfortunately, the road ends for the Kraken against the Stars. Those are big words, man.
I hope not. I hope not.
No.
Because I'll tell you, if the Oilers go out, which I was biting my nails a few times during that Kings series, but they managed to pull it out. But if the Oilers go out, and the Kraken are still in, that's who I'm rooting for. That's who I'm rooting for. Who knows? Who knows what could happen?
And he also says, Stars Wild was my first NHL playoff experience. It was awesome. Yeah, if you can get to an NHL playoff game, do it. Honestly, it's such a great experience. It's so much fun. The crowd gets loud. The atmosphere is just amazing. It's absolutely positively amazing. So if you find yourself, if you can get yourself into a playoff game, by all means do it.
I got to put that on my bucket. I never have. I got to put that on my bucket list. I've been to live NHL games, which I love. Even when my first NHL game was Pens Islanders, I don't care about either of those teams, but it was just great to be at a game and watch it. I watched it at the old Nassau Coliseum down in Long Island there.
Nice. And now they got a brand new arena, UBS Arena, which I have been told is the jewel of every NHL arena. But then again, most new NHL arenas are always called gems. So
yeah. Yes. And then obviously, who could forget the New Year's shootout that I went to with you, your Devils and my Oilers. That was a great game.
That was a fun game. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk some Major League Baseball, and we'll keep going here. No credentials required. Stay tuned. In the Clutch features the best and officially licensed MLBPA and MLSPA clothing. In the Clutch features teams from every city like New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and more. It also features designs for every league, including Major League Baseball, the National Football League, the NBA, and the NHL, Plus, check out exclusive collections as well as vintage wear. Head to InTheClutch.com, enter promo code NOCREDS at checkout for 10% off your order. That's right, folks. InTheClutch.com is where you can pick up some really nifty t-shirts, MLSPA, MLBPA, and they're also the officially licensed wear for the Savannah Bananas baseball team. If you haven't got a chance to watch some Savannah Bananas baseball on YouTube, don't watch it now because you're watching on No Credentials Required. But they're actually coming to Cooperstown in September. It's the last stop on their world tour for 2023. So I got myself in the lottery for tickets. I'm hoping to get mine so I can go out and see this. Go out and see the Savannah Bananas in Cooperstown. And maybe I'll be wearing one of my InTheClutch.com apparel. So you go to InTheClutch.com, enter promo code NOCREDS in the promo code for a checkout. You get 10% off your order. You also help the show by buying a t-shirt, buying apparel, buying mugs, whatever you can find at InTheClutch.com. They got really good stuff. So go ahead, get yourself a t-shirt or other apparel at InTheClutch.com. So let's talk about Major League Baseball, Dustin. We've got some things to talk about. What's going on with the New York Yankees? It's brutal. They're tied for last in the American League East, and I know a lot of people who are listening or watching are laughing. Who are not Yankees fans are laughing. If you're a Red Sox fan, you're like, "Oh, we're here again."
Yeah. This, I think the main thing, and not to break it down, so simply, but I think the main thing is you realize just how important Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, even though he's oft injured, you realize how important those two bats are to the lineup. You know, these by early appearances, these are not the Yankee lineups of old, where if a couple of stars go down, there are other offensive weapons in there to just pick it up. I mean, Rizzo was on fire last year when he was acquired, but I don't know. I just you know Aaron Judge, how important he is, but I guess you didn't realize how important. So I think that's one of the first problems with the Yankees, is that those two big bats are not in the lineup, and they're scuffling. They're scuffling without them.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of treading water right now, and Giancarlo Stanton is also out of the lineup, of course.
Yep.
That guy's made of glass. I swear.
He is.
Their pitching has been abysmal lately. Yesterday, as evidenced by that 15-2 loss in Texas. I'm sorry, American League West leading Texas Rangers. Add that they're still in first place in the AL West. Is this necessarily Brian Cashman's fault? I asked that because there was an interesting poll that our buddy Brent from the 1420 podcast, which is another podcast on Belly Up Sports, he put out a poll on Twitter asking if Brian Cashman should be fired. And one of the choices were, yes, he should be fired. He's the one who built this roster. The other choice was, no, he can't control injuries. I'm on the side of, no, he can't control injuries.
Yeah.
But also, he's the guy who signed some of these veterans. He retained Josh Donaldson.
Mm-hmm.
He is sticking by Giancarlo Stanton, who is unfortunately still injured once again.
Yeah.
He signed Carlos Rondon, who we don't know when he's going to be making his debut.
Yep.
So he kept these guys, or retained these guys, and they're injured.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate you can't control injuries, but at the same time, you can't just have blind loyalty because you decided to retain him, to retain those players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't put as much of it on Cashman. I think he should have some of the blame because, as you pointed out, he's the one that gave these contracts. He's the one that gave some of the extensions. And they also acquired Frankie Montas last year, and he's hurt.
Trade deadline. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it just – the pitching has been the thing that we can't figure out over the last few years, or the Yankees. I don't want to fall into the we. the sports
Yeah.
fan we. You know, everybody
You
says that
shouldn't say we. You shouldn't say we. You're not part of the team.
Yeah.
Listen, I paid $13 for a beer at Yankee Stadium and at least
Yeah.
$25 for a GD hamburger and fries.
Yes.
It's we.
Yeah, yeah. I have a minority stake in the team now, but at the
That
same
the
time,
minority stake.
at the same
By the way, coming soon, minority stake grill. Go
yeah,
ahead. Dustin, sorry.
we should do that as a sponsor.
Hey,
But-
there's an ad. There's an ad.
But at the same time, you cannot control injuries. You cannot. I mean, you can to some degree. You can look at a player's history and go, "Oh man, I don't know if I should sign this person to a long-term deal or whatever." But you can't always control injuries. Some freak things happen. I can't remember what sport or what player it was, but this is apparently the story that was out there. But I remember there was a story about a player who tripped on a McDonald's bag that was on the floor. He was eating McDonald's. The McDonald's bag was on the floor. It was under his foot. He slipped and put his hand through glass, like a glass table or something, trying to break his fall. And it was because of a McDonald's bag. And who could forget? Who could forget Dustin Penner, one-time Anaheim Duck, who was given that huge contract by the Edmonton Oilers? And he said that he injured himself cutting into a stack of his wife's delicious pancakes, which the fact that he had to say they were delicious, they probably sucked. I mean, let's be honest about it. Because if he's going into the media and he's like, "Oh, they were delicious,"
Are you disparaging Mrs. Penner's pancakes?
I am because of the. So I mean, you can't control some of that, and you also can't control when notorious piece of garbage Jeff Kent broke his hand riding a motorcycle in the early 2000s or late 90s, and it was part of his contract that he wasn't supposed to. So he said he broke his hand washing his car. but Jeff Kent, reportedly not the nicest guy.
I totally forgot about that.
but you can't.
And we can never forget Sammy Sosa having to go in the IL because of he threw out his back sneezing.
Oh yeah. But you know what? I used to make fun of Sammy all the time, and then cut to last year. I sneezed in my car on the way to work, and my neck hurt for 2 days, and I couldn't turn my head.
I strained my trapezius muscle. When I had a cold one time, and I strained my trapezius muscle blowing my nose.
Oh man. So yeah, to circle it all the way back around. We can't blame Cashman for some of this, but he does deserve some of the blame because, like you said, he's the one that extended.
He's the one who constructs the roster with old Booney's help.
And it's not the front office's job to make plays on the field, but they do deserve some of the blame.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while before Cashman even is thought of being fired or retires. He's been in that role for almost 30 years now. If you can believe it?
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of Yankee fans that have problems with Cashman, but the Yankees, and it's not just because of their payroll, all right? Because everybody says, "Oh, big payroll, they can go out and they can get the free agents. That's why big payroll." But some of it has to be Cashman makes some of the decisions. And they've been in the playoffs quite a bit over the last few years, and they've made some recent deep runs into the playoffs. Like not to the Dodgers. The Dodgers have a massive payroll, and they've been bounced in the playoffs in the first round a few times. And the Padres, I mean, look what's going on with them. Look at the kind of money they threw around. So Cashman's been pretty consistent over the years of fielding a good team, especially for the regular season. So that has to mean something,
Yeah. I at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the players. It's going to come down to the manager to see what he does. I mean, remember 2019. If you remember 2019, Dustin, the Yankees led the league in man games lost, and they still found a way to win the American League East and advance to the ALCS. So this team can. We give, as Yankee fans, we give Aaron Boone a lot of flack for the decisions he makes because he relies too much on the analytics. You nerd, but at the same time, he knows how to manage his roster, and he should have won Manager of the Year in 2019. He should have done it. He should have won.
Yeah.
Rocco Baldelli instead.
I am, as a side note though, I am happy to see Rocco Baldelli in the game of baseball doing well, because to me, he was that Tampa Bay Devil Ray prospect that you wonder what could have been if he could have stayed healthy. I mean, so it's good to see Rocco Baldelli back in the game and doing well as manager of the Twins, I believe, right?
Yes, the Minnesota Twins. Yeah. Yes.
So,
but yeah, I mean, I think it's going to, well, it's a long season.
Yes.
We just finished the first month, officially finished the first month of this season. We got a long way to go till October. October/November.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And regarding the Red Sox, I haven't watched many of their games at all. But from what I gather, I think their main problem is pitching. And Chris Sale, let me tell you, he looks bad.
Yes.
that's the only thing that I can really glean, is that their pitching just isn't there.
No, I mean, the hitting's always going to be there for the Red Sox. But this year, for some reason, they just can't seem to get it together pitching wise. So I guess one of their prospects is has a arm injury. We don't know what's going on with him. So another Red Sox pitcher hitting biting the dust when it comes to the lineup. But in addition to the Yankees, let's move on. We're going to move on from the Yankees. We're going to talk about two teams in Major League Baseball. Won 20 games this month. The Tampa Bay Rays and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Dustin, I've been singing the praises of the Pittsburgh Pirates over the last month or so.
Yeah.
I'm still going to continue it until they slide. But to be honest, did you expect either of these two teams to have 20 wins this soon in the season?
No, I did not think so. The Pirates are the ones that really surprised me. I had no inkling that this was coming. Tampa Bay, because of what they've done the last few years and kind of the unconventional way that they do things, I was like, they will find a way to be a competitive team. But I didn't think it would be like this. The only troubling news that I see coming out of Tampa is their closer, Pete Fairbanks. He's been having bouts with Raynaud's syndrome, and it's caused him to leave games early because his hand goes numb. So they've got to figure out what's causing that. But I mean, they've had some players, like they called up Taj Bradley. He looked really good. They sent him back down. I don't think he'll be down there for long, not with the way he pitched on his first stint up there. But Tampa was much less surprising to me than the Pirates. The Pirates just came out of left field, and I thought, oh, this is a flash in the pan. But for them to have 20 wins at this point in the season, you could look at it. You could say, oh, well, it's only the first month, but there's something there. And I thought the O'Neal Cruz injury was going to really hurt them, but they are playing very well. And they gave your candidate in the Battle of the Bryans, they gave him an extension, did they not?
Yeah, they gave him $105 million extension. So he's going to be in Pittsburgh he got paid.
Yeah.
Man got paid. Good for him.
Yeah.
Because I know for a long time there were rumors that they were going to try to move him because he was too expensive, but apparently he's too valuable to the team now. Now that they're one of the first two teams, the two of the teams that have 20 wins in the first month of the season, it's too valuable not to move now.
Yeah.
So he's going to stay. He's going to stay in Pittsburgh for at least the next 8 years or so.
Yeah.
And I looked up, I looked up Raynaud's disease. It said, according to Mayo Clinic, it says that Raynaud's disease causes smaller arteries that supply blood flow to the skin to narrow in response to colder stress. So if you're in a colder environment, they're going to tighten, those arteries are going to tighten up, and you're not going to have proper circulation to those places. And I guess it affects primarily the hands. So
yeah, which is not good for a pitcher.
No, it is not. It is definitely not.
He's just. I hope they can figure something out, but he's just lucky that he plays most of his, at least half his games in a dome. So
yeah. So speaking of Battle of the Bryans, let's give you an update on the Battle of the Bryans. So Brian Reynolds, as we mentioned before, currently he's hitting .320 with 5 home runs and 23 RBIs. Brian Anderson of the Milwaukee Brewers batting .255, also with 5 home runs and 20 RBIs. So my Brian Reynolds.
Yep. You're getting that coffee. You're getting that coffee because let me tell you, they are evenly matched in power so far. 5 home runs. RBIs. Brian Anderson is not that far off the pace, but the batting average is what's going to kill me.
Yep. Yeah. So before we move on, before we take another quick commercial break, I want to talk about this. This is a minor league moment of the week, which is brought to you by Manscaped. The Cardinals infielder, plays for AAA affiliate for the St. Louis Cardinals, the Springfield Cardinals. His name is Chandler Redmond. Chandler Redmond did something very unusual for AAA baseball, for minor league baseball. He smashed a 485-foot home run.
Wow.
On Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to play that clip right now. Just trying to get to the right spot here. And I'll share my screen if you're watching live or on the replay. All right, here we go.
All right.
Runner at second. Enlow trying to get out of it. Here's a fly ball, a monster shot to right. Holland just going to turn around and just watch that one bang off the building. Chandler Redmond with a monster home run to right. Well, that ball went 485 feet. That hit above the museum and just hammered the administrative building in right field, just beneath the window of Bob Millett's office. A 3-run blast.
Man, that looked like a derby home run. Honestly,
it did.
That looked like a home run derby home run.
It did. It's Giancarlo Stanton hit a 485-foot home run last month, and Chandler Redmond with a 480-foot tank. He raked that ball too. That ball was sinking.
Oh yeah,
just happened to get under it and like a golf shot. He just got under it and hits the museum.
Oh, so you mean he hits like David Ortiz used to? It was a golf swing or nothing. No, much respect for David Ortiz. He was always a Yankee killer. I hated seeing him come up to the plate, but it always felt like that's what he was doing. He was up there golf swinging, and he either really got under the ball or he missed.
Yep, exactly. All right, we're going to take one more quick commercial break. We come back, we're going to talk about the NFL draft, and we're going to talk about some local news here in the Albany area involving one of the local sports teams, a crazy story going on. So we'll be right back in just a moment. You're watching or listening to No Credentials Required.
We have breaking news. Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right. They are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY for 20% off and free shipping. It's time to tame your mane. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to all your stubble and trouble with Manscaped Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a juggernaut of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. That's right, face grooming doesn't need to be hard. Get 20 different beard lengths in just one guard. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can shave in the shower to avoid all that hair in the sink. The titanium-coated T-blade is tough on hair but smooth on your face, leading to single-stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. So make sure you get 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com by using the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Once again, that's 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at manscaped.com.
Actually, the promo code is now BELLYUP20. So you can go to manscaped.com and you get a beard trimmer like I have. It's a great beard trimmer. Get yourself the Lawnmower 4.0 if you're a dude. You also get some other products like the beard shampoo, and they actually just released a new loofah too. So go to manscaped.com, you use promo code BELLYUP20, you get 20% off your order, and you get free shipping. Before we go on to our next topic of discussion, Jeff notes, wow, sounds like Yanks fans really know how to panic.
Not panicking, just a little, some observations about how thin our lineup is.
Yeah, we're very concerned. He also says, go Jays. And Kevin asks, are the Pirates for real or too early to tell? That's a great question. That's honestly a great question because I mean, right now they look like they're for real. Even with O'Neal Cruz out of the lineup, they look like they're for real.
Yeah, they've obviously got some team chemistry, and I mean, I don't know. I am a skeptic, but even the longer this goes on, the more I have to say they're real. And because I mean, Connor Joe is hitting well for them right now. He's a one-time highly touted prospect. They've just got people performing for them right now.
Yeah, and Andrew McCutchen coming back to Pittsburgh to be kind of the glue guy is huge. And every time I watch highlights clips of the Pirates and they're hitting tanks or they're getting runs scored, you always see them draw the sword. Yeah. And just they're having fun. It just seems like a good team with a lot of good chemistry. And again, Andrew McCutchen is the guy who's kind of being that glue guy when it comes to being that veteran presence in the locker room. It's like, yeah, he's been in the playoffs with these Pirates teams before.
Yeah, he brings some much needed experience to this team. At this point, he's not the player he was when he was a thrilling young prospect with the Pirates, and he went on to some of the other teams that he played on are escaping me right now.
The Yankees, the Phillies, and I can't remember the other team. I know he was definitely because he was traded to the Yankees. He had to cut off his lovely dreadlocks.
Oh yes, because of the old Yankee rule. It always makes me think of that Simpsons. Mattingly, I thought I told you to shave those sideburns. He has like nothing on his head. Oh man,
you're fired.
That's a classic. that's a classic episode.
Yeah.
Mordecai Three-Finger Brown. A Murderer's Row. He's assembling all those players are from like 1909.
Sir, they're all passed on.
Yeah.
So McCutchen has played for, in addition to the Pirates, he's also played for the Giants, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Brewers.
All right. Yep. But this is a welcome homecoming. Thank you. I could remember I was confident about the Phillies and I was confident about the Giants, and I do remember his Yankee stint, but everything else, I knew there were other teams in there, and we saw what happened when I try to go off the cuff. A Frank Wycheck happens. So so thanks for verifying that for me.
Not a problem. Not a problem. So we're going to review our respective teams' NFL drafts. Dustin is a tried and true Seattle Seahawks fan. As you all know, I am a very long-suffering New York Jets fan. Dustin, I'm going to start with you in regards to how the Seattle Seahawks drafted. What were your impressions of what the Seattle Seahawks did on Thursday night into the weekend?
Now, okay, I'm going to say the only round that I saw all of was the first round. I was tuned in Thursday night, like a lot of people were, to watch the first round. And initially, I was surprised that the Seahawks went cornerback with their 5th round pick. But after I thought about it a little bit more, this is a classic Pete Carroll pick. He's always loved athletic cover corners for the system that he runs. And I don't know much about college football, but with what people are saying about Weatherspoon, he's going to pair great with Tariq Woolen on the other side. So to me, this is a very Seahawks pick. It's consistent. I love the pick of Jackson Njigba. I think I'm saying that right. Of Ohio State at wide receiver. That wide receiver room is going to be tough to beat if you put Njigba in the slot, and then you've got DK on the outside and you got Lockett on the other side. Like that's going to be an offensive. That's quite a combination, and hopefully he pans out. But from what I know of his route running, he can change direction easily. So I do like these first picks. There was a part of me that wondered if they would have taken Richardson at 5 had the Colts not snatched him up. Because there's a lot of people talking about Anthony Richardson and the Seahawks being a good fit. And even there were reports that Pete Carroll was honest with Geno Smith, and he talked to him before the draft. He said, quarterback is on our radar tonight. We may take a quarterback with one of these high picks, but you never know. Teams run a lot of smoke screens leading up to the draft because they don't want people to know who they're truly targeting. A lot of people I was happy to see them grab a center. That's a need that I think they really needed to shore up the line. And a lot of people were disappointed in the Zach Charbonneau pick, not necessarily because of the player that he is. I think a lot of people just thought that Seattle drafted him too early when there were more talented players, in their opinion, on the board. But my counter to that is look at their recent past with their running backs. Right now, Kenneth Walker is, along with, I'm trying to remember if DJ Dallas is still on the roster. There were not very many running backs on the roster. Penny's in Philly now. And also then Chris Carson had early retirement because of neck injuries. So they were 2 draft picks, Rashad Penny and Chris Carson, that had injury history. And the one thing that I've noticed about Kenneth Walker III, he's explosive. I love having him on the team. I think he's going to be a star, but he's a little more slight. He's a bit of a smaller back, and he kind of is more of like an outside runner. So I think this Charbonneau pick is running back depth, and also to prevent injuries from torpedoing the team. So I did not mind the running back pick. But everything else, I mean, I liked. They did enough last year to remind me that, okay, Pete Carroll and John Schneider, have they hit on every single draft pick? No. But can they grab some late round value, and are they trying to build a specific type of team? I think they are, and I think with the draft over the weekend, they took more steps towards doing that. So overall, I'm happy. I mean, obviously, we don't know how these players are going to pan out, but I'm happy with the draft.
Okay. So for my New York Jets, I'm looking at their player picks. They drafted Will McDonald the fourth as their first overall pick, and some are saying it was a panic move. Some were saying it's a reach because the top 4 tackles got selected first before Joe Douglas could get his hands on them. Some of it might say it was a consequence of trading for Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it is, and I looked at the tape that he has, and Will McDonald has. The guy's athletic. The guy's an athletic freak. He's tremendously athletic, come on off the edge. And part of the reason why they picked him was because we don't know what's going to happen with Carl Lawson. He's coming into his 3rd year of a contract that is huge. It's weighing down their cap right now. And we don't know what's going to happen with Bryce Huff if he's going to re-sign with the team after next year. It's a 4th year player. We don't know if they're going to pick up his 5th year option. And he's been equally as disruptive too. So Jets are thinking about the future. Ryan Clark from ESPN saying, oh, this is a familiar feeling with Aaron Rodgers. He's not getting any help, getting any draft help. Listen, they've already got a lot of weapons on offense. You got Garrett Wilson. You got Corey Davis. You got Breece Hall coming back.
Yeah.
You've got Mecole Hardman, who signed as a 1-year flyer with the Jets to see what he can do. You bring in Alan Lazard, who is already somebody who's already become one of Aaron Rodgers' most reliable receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Ty Conklin. You got CJ Ozuma. You've got weapons to build. You got weapons around him. There really was no need to pick up another wide receiver as your first overall pick. So you might as well build the trend. You might as well stack depth in the trenches where you need it. So 2nd round comes along. They pick up Joe Tippmann, who I believe is one of the top 3 centers, top 3 center prospects. I watched some of his game tape, and he reminds me of Kevin Mawai. Who back in the day was a pulling center for Curtis Martin for all those years that Curtis Martin was in the building with the New York Jets at one Jets drive. He reminds me a lot of him, just a little bit taller and a little bit heavier. I think he's about 6'5" or 6'6". The dude is huge.
Yeah,
the dude's huge. He I mean, he's got a mullet and he's wearing a cowboy hat along with it, and it was great to see. Great to see.
Kevin Mawai, one-time Jet and Seahawk.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, some are saying he's the next Nick Mangold. We'll see. But I expect him to start sometime during the year, even though they re-signed Connor McGovern before they made that trade for Aaron Rodgers. So they pick up Carter Warren from Pittsburgh. I think they said he didn't play last year, but he's, again, more depth in the offensive line. You can never have. There's 2 things that Joe Douglas loves drafting. It's offensive linemen and running backs. And by the way, round 5, Israel Abanikanda from Pittsburgh comes along, and I saw some of his game tape too, and that guy has a nose for the football in the end zone. I believe he finished 2nd overall in FBS this year in touchdowns. And he'll take a load off of Breece Hall. I don't know how ready Breece Hall will be by the season comes around. He's coming off an ACL injury, a torn ACL. If we saw what we saw with Saquon Barkley after he tore ACL, took him a good season and change to get reacquainted with football, and we saw the season he had last year with Brian Dable. Now he's an assistant with Nathaniel Hackett. There'll be some tweaks to make with him with that line, with that particular system, but it's definitely going to be run heavy for sure. And Abanikanda is going to be a very big asset. Then he picked up Zaire Barnes from Western Michigan. I don't know a whole lot about him. Jarek Bernard Converse from LSU. They picked him up at corner. He was a converted safety. Then they pick up tight end. Their seventh round pick, their final pick of the draft from Old Dominion. They pick up a tight end, Zach Kuntz. This kid's also an athletic freak. Well, I understand Joe Douglas likes to go after the guys who have a high RAS score, or raw athletic score. Kuntz is super athletic. Abinaconda also very athletic. Titman for a center, he's very athletic. And McDonald's, just if you see some of his outside game tape where he's jumping over cars, dunking basketballs, and doing flips off the wall at the practice facility at Iowa State. The Jets had to do flashy things last year, and they picked up 4 studs that helped the team last year. They didn't need to do flashy things this year. And from the names I saw here in the list, there really aren't a whole lot of nobody really stands out in terms of flashy names, but you're building depth. You're building depth in the right areas. You're building for the future because, like I said, with Edge, who knows how long Carl Lawson's going to be with that team with that huge contract, and who knows if Bryce Huff will resign. So you got to build for the future. I'm surprised they didn't go after interior defensive line, because they need some depth help in that area after Sheldon Rankins signing with New Orleans. But I guess they're bringing Quan Alexander. From what I understand, there's rumors that Quan Alexander is coming back, which is going to be awesome because that'll actually help Zaire Barnes, because he also plays outside linebacker. So he'll have somebody to mentor for the future. All in all, I give the Jets a solid B for this draft. As I said, nothing really flashy. Didn't have a whole lot of needs in terms of of offense, except for depth. And I'm pretty happy with how Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are building this team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my view on the whole on how the Jets did in the draft. Now I'm going to probably bring in I might do a special Victory Monday with my buddy Dan Goldstein pretty soon. He's more of a draft nerd than I am, so he'll give more of a proper breakdown of what positions, who these players are, and how they stack up to the rest of the lineup. But all in all, I'm pleased with how Joe Douglas drafted this in this draft and how this team is being put together.
I think, hope always springs eternal after the draft. You want all these picks to pan out, but man, the draft just gets me excited for football again. And I think for a lot of teams, I think I'm just happy that we didn't. It seems like both our teams didn't have any like head scratching maneuvers. That didn't prompt one.
Talking to you, Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that prompted one of the greatest graphics I've ever seen in ESPN history. Angry Trent Dilfer. when somebody I can't remember. It was either when the Vikings selected Christian Ponder as high as they did, or when the Denver Broncos selected Tim Tebow. I can't remember which draft that was, but it was somebody on the ESPN team, I think, was having a little fun because the graphic just flashed under it. Angry Trent Dilfer. I loved that.
I'm looking it up right now. See who he went nuts for.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, I think it was either Tebow or Ponder, but I can't remember. Because if memory serves, I think the Vikings drafted Christian Ponder high.
They did. They did.
But yeah, that. So we didn't have any head scratching maneuvers, and I'm thankful. There's always, the Raiders were always good for that under Al Davis. Al Davis in later years, no disrespect to Al, but he was still trying to build his team as if it was 1985. Oh. And some of the picks that he made in the first round, you see some of the analysts just sit there and go, hey, but, some of them did pan out. He ended up being right about, wide receiver, started with the Raiders. He was very young, played with the Browns this year, was on the Cowboys, had some good seasons. Why can't I think? Oh, who is it? All right. Well, I'm going to look it up. Browns current.
Well, while you look that up, I'm going to switch topics to a local flavor here in the Albany, New York area. The Albany Empire football team This is
man.
this has just been the weirdest month in terms of what's been happening with the Albany Empire. 2 weeks before the season begins, their season with the NAL begins, the 3-time champion Albany Empire, they fire their head coach. For the last two seasons. They win first game. Second game they lose on the last play of the game. This week they lose again. But then we come to find, but after the first game, after the first game, 3 executives leave, which includes the local ownership, one of the local owners. He sells the team to Antonio Brown for $1, and 2 executives, and that includes one of my, the full disclosure, my good friend Jeff Levac, who is back on the radio today. I was also with my older buddy Tom Gozlowski. So Levac and Goz are back on the air 3 to 5 p.m. on 95.9 and 980 Fox Sports Radio. Shameless plug for those two. So 3 local ownership sells the team back to AB for $1. 2 executives leave. And then this story came up this afternoon that 8 players have been suspended from the team, and the head new coach who was there after Tom Manas was fired, Damon Ware, he was dismissed after there was an incident where I guess there was some pay that was missing.
Oh, jeez.
And when they got back to their hotels in Albany after a 15-hour drive from Greensboro, North Carolina, 8 of those players had their hotel cards deactivated. And some of these players happen to be the most important players on the team, like your starting quarterback, your number 1 wide receiver, arguably your best defensive lineman, your center, who also acts as your nose tackle, your MAC linebacker, and your wide receiver defensive back, who is one of the best veterans on that team. So, Dustin, from the outside looking in, I'm not sure how much you've been paying attention to this story. What's to make of this story? Is the Empire finished? I mean, are we going to see the Empire play again this year, or is this what's going on? What's your take on this?
I just I haven't been following this as close as you have been following it, but I did. I think it was when Eric was on the show. He asked about the clip of Antonio Brown in the end zone, and then like he's saying, "I own the team. The other person saying, "You don't own the team. Like, get out of the end zone. Stop doing what you're doing."
Yeah, because he forgot his all access pass when he went in the field during halftime in the first game in the home opener.
But the story has made, and I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say it's national news, but I listened to a podcast by the Sklar brothers. It's called View from the Cheap Seats. It's a good podcast. I've listened to it for years. They talk sports and they inject a little comedy into it. And the story of the Empire made that show. So I was pretty surprised to see that the Sklars picked that one up. And I couldn't believe I'm like, what? I had to do the rewind because I'm like, my hometown, but this just everything about this, and you don't want to generalize and you don't want to, but it just seems that as soon as Antonio Brown has been associated with the team, it's been nothing but chaos. And I think the local ownership selling the team back to him is a bad sign because they're looking to get out, So something is going on. I think I don't know what's going to happen with the Empire, but you dismiss that many players, the coach. You got to have continuity, and especially like you said, they've won. It's not like they weren't winning. They've won.
Right.
But they've just blown this thing up. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So after that story was released about 8 players being suspended / released, we don't know exactly what's going on. Abby Rubel from the Times Union, who is the primary beat reporter for the Albany Empire in the area, she released a story that apparently what had happened was that during the transition from one ownership to the other, the payroll system didn't get there was no transition for the payroll. So the payroll processor caused, which was caused, it was an issue with the payroll processor caused by the ownership transition. So players usually get paid from what, and I was listening. This is listening to Levac and Gaz this afternoon. Levac is basically, I would say he was doing I wouldn't say a tell-all, but he's trying to be very careful about it.
Yeah. He's got intimate knowledge, obviously. He's
got very intimate knowledge. But basically what it came down to was that players get paid every week. They get paid on Monday. So it's during a week during that players, if they play, they get paid that following Monday. And I guess there's bonuses involved for wins. I'm not really sure what the pay structure is for National Arena League. Some veteran players make a lot more than first-year players. So I guess the veteran players who are now suspended were making waves saying that I didn't get paid, what's going on. And it's usually a direct deposit. But I guess they were supposed to have their issue resolved by this afternoon. So, but I just gotta wonder if this was just a bad decision to bring in a certain NFL player.
Yeah.
We'll just call him Tony.
Yeah.
But I gotta wonder, and he also put up on Instagram, I guess on this afternoon or Sunday afternoon, that they were holding open tryouts, and there's a game on Saturday. So you got 8 position players who are being suspended or they've been released from the team who are not going to be there. How are you going to field a team and have a coach? Like, who's going to coach this team now? Is it going to be Tony? Is it going to be somebody else from the coaching staff is going to coach this team? This is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a mess. And you add to this, now I'm trying to verify this because I don't know, but apparently Antonio Brown has also ended his retirement to announce that he is going to play for the Baltimore Ravens this year.
I think that was a fake.
Oh, was it a fake? This is let's see, April 29th, CBS Sports, possibly. Oh yeah, Brown is not currently on the roster, so he is linking himself to the Ravens. It is not the Ravens. Apparently, are not. So this is just another in a long line of confusing moves, shall we say?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Brown.
That's for sure, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be more news coming out. Like if the players have gotten paid, I wonder if they'll be reinstated. Because again, you got a game coming up on Saturday at home.
It's urgent.
You got to field a team somehow. So it's just going to be, this is a messy situation. Hopefully things get resolved. I have a feeling it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
And
probably.
This is a team that has won 2 consecutive championships, 3 if you count the Arena Bowl in 2019. It sucks because I know some of the players involved too.
Yeah.
I know some of those players. I used to take pictures. When I took pictures at the arena, I get dapped up every week. Every week I was there, I get dapped up by some of those players, and they're good guys. The situation sucks.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it for them especially, and I hate it for some people I know, of course, outside, who are on the outside looking in, who were once inside, who are now on the outside looking in and going, what is going on? They feel helpless because they can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be an extremely frustrating feeling. And especially when you're a player and you're just trying to play and do what you love, and you can't really focus on that because you've got to worry whether your check's going to be there or you're going to be released. It's not a good environment that is being created by some of the newer ownership.
And I guess there was also rumors and speculation of younger players not getting meal vouchers, and some of them went a couple days last week without eating. So,
jeez.
But again, it could come back to it's just a transition in ownership. But here's the thing: if you're going to transition ownership, do it before the season begins.
Yeah. This is
This is a risky move, and this was and right now it's coming back to bite the Albany Empire, and who knows if we'll see them for the rest of the year, if they can field a team, if this franchise is going to exist.
yeah.
But just could be the fact that it's just a transition right before the season begins, and we'll see what happens. We'll just wait it out, So, but it just sucks for some of the people involved because I know some of them, and you feel helpless.
Yeah. It's not a good. It's just like you said, it stinks all around, and like I said, it's not. I'm not going to say it's making national news, but the fact that the Sklar's even picked it up, it's making waves.
But it's making national news.
yeah. It's making waves. It's just tough to see, especially with, like you said, a hometown team that has had a history of performing well, extremely recent history of performing very, very well, getting the championship in your respective sport. So, hopefully it gets straightened out. And it's just I never expected that something like this would develop in Albany.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to make any snap judgments for right now because the situation is developed. This is a developing story that just broke this morning and got into the afternoon. But hopefully, like I said, it seems like it's going to get worse before it gets better. But hopefully, it gets better soon, and we can go back to resuming normal activity. Yeah. Oh yeah. One other story that I didn't mention in our lineup, but Snoop Dogg is apparently interested in being part of an ownership group that wants to buy the Ottawa Senators. And I did not have Snoop Dogg enrolling in being part of an ownership group for an NHL team in my 2023 bingo card. And if you did, you're a liar.
Yeah. You know what? I'm kind of I'm down for that. Yeah. I think, hey,
apparently he's a big Los Angeles Kings fan.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, Snoop has always repped LA sports, and he was always, even at the Trojans games, he was big into USC back when they were having their run under Pete Carroll and stuff. He's a passionate sports fan, so I think this would be a good move for Ottawa, and it might bring a little cachet. And we know Snoop could probably come up with some interesting promotions, all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, right now the Ottawa Senators ownership group is either going to be bought by Snoop Dogg or Deadpool. So or they can combine forces. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's just a very entertaining story that came up this morning. I haven't really looked into what group he would be part of, but it just happened to see Snoop Dogg being linked to the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
Is something special. It's interesting times in sports.
Oh yeah, for sure. And for all of you who are sitting on the edge of the seat saying, "Hey, who was it that Dustin couldn't think of earlier?" It was Amari Cooper. He was a Raiders draft pick that hit, and but they got rid of him. So
that they did. All right, we're going to end things here, but before we do that, we just want to remind you about our social media channels. If you're watching live or you're watching on replay, we appreciate you. Leave a comment. But in the meantime, find us on our social media networks on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. If you're watching on the replay, go ahead and smash that like button. Smash responsibly. Also, feel free to leave a comment if you missed you on the live side. On the podcast side, Megaphone is our primary hub, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast, rate and review. And actually, we did get a really nice review. I'm going to read it right now on Apple Podcasts.
Excellent.
We got a really nice review from a listener named Mike. He says, awesome chemistry between the hosts plus a great knowledge of sports equals a fantastic podcast that is worth listening to every time a new episode drops.
Oh,
So,
awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Mike, thank you very much. Also, we got another one from a user called Podcast Wrestling Society. Very well informed on sports. Ryan and Dustin actually know what they're talking about and bring the entertainment with informed takes. Not the typical dry sports takes or people yelling at each other to get the hits. 5 stars. 5 freaking stars, baby.
Yeah, here we go. 5-star match.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
5-star. We're a 5-star podcast there, Dustin. But yeah, rate and review. We may even read it on the air like we just did with these 2 reviews, and engage with the show as always. We want to hear your comments. But in the meantime, we're going to leave you for this Monday night. Be back here next Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Thank you for watching or listening to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. So have a great week, everyone. We will see you here back next Monday for more No Credentials Required.
Good luck to your Devils, Ryan.
Thanks, Dustin.